Today's lesson was a fifth grade lesson incorporating fifth grade Common Core writing standards as well as California history standards. It's part of a series of lessons that are meant to get more difficult as you scaffold the writing process for students as they begin to dive into research.
The crab's not specifically there, but she can already kind of start inferring or thinking about what other clues to other types of food are out there.
The lesson built from showing first-person illustrations that actually came from explorers in the time period in the 1700s, and it slowly built from the images up into a text. And so this was a way for students to dive into the knowledge using first image representations and then see that same content through the words of those explorers. I wanted to highlight more Indigenous people and local people within the curriculum, but then also students had previously learned in fourth grade about the California mission system, and so students already had a lot of that prior knowledge from the year before, and I wanted to leverage that to really unlock what writing and research means.
We're going to fill out these first two columns, and I want you to tell us what you know about the topic that I'm going to share with you right now. And what do you wonder about the topic that we're going to share right now?
So the first technique that we used was to use a KWL chart. What do you know? What do you wonder? And then what did you learn? That tells me just how much content knowledge they already do have and how far back I have to go. So you have to really be in tune with the students that you're working with so that you can pace it accordingly.
So in some locations they had shelters made out of adobe, and then last one.
And they had different beliefs, traditions.
Different beliefs and traditions.
Students were tasked with being able to find clues in the images and in the text that would shed light on the religion, on the diet, and the trade of the California Coast Native American people, and write them down on a tree map.
Or I'm going to take two more that can tell me something that they got as a clue, or some clues that they got from the images and illustrations or from the diary itself. First.
Well, we got diet from the picture because it said that which one appears to contain pepper, so for diet for peppers.
All right, nice. And then I've got three of them with their hands raised, so I'm going to try and go quick. Go ahead.
For trade, I pulled the hats because they're wearing hats, and maybe they can trade hats if the person that wants a hat wants style.
I like it. That's true. If they want the style, go ahead.
Typically, students get a lot more out of being able to not only share their knowledge with the class, but then also hear what their peers are talking about. And for me, it's also something special because typically I'll hear students come up with different ideas or relate it to something in a way that maybe I wouldn't relate to it.
So we have a couple of clues that were already popping up, and I'm looking at the first illustration here from 1769 to 1770.
In that lesson, I actually unrolled what could potentially be 3 or 4 days of instruction. So if you have students who are 2 or 3 grade levels behind with reading and writing, they might not have gotten to reading that actual journal on that day. But if you're using like timers and structures and systems, you would follow those exact same systems and structures across every day. And again, it's just the system and the structure for them to know, like, now it's business time, now it's collaboration time, and now we're all going to listen.
All right, everybody clap once, twice.
The strategies that you put in place will help the student attain mastery while keeping the work at that grade level rigor. The tree map, as you can see, it helped the students categorize and classify diet, trade, religion, and then as we went through the entire lesson, the student could use that specific strategy to store their information and then at the end to recall their information. In Universal Design for Learning framework, kids should have the options to show you their learning in different ways. So I said, some of you can write about it, some of you can create a drawing, or you can make a video on Flip.
And for trade, I drew 2 people drawing a basket and another guy trading jewelry.
When I designed that lesson, I was really thinking about how I can help support an English language learner get to the level where they can go through the text and then also provide a written sample. Now, using the illustrations at the beginning of the lesson was also one of my strategies so that the students can actually see what it is that they were going to be trying to read about in the later lesson. What I really wanted to emphasize as well within the design of the lesson was addressing learner variability. On the projector, you can see the presentation. It has the images there. I'm speaking to the students and describing those elements to them. I also had copies of the images as well as the text so that students had the option. Again, it's always about the option. They had the option to either listen to me, and then they also had the option to hold the hard copies themselves and then be able to interact with the work. Another way I tried to address learner variability was where they had the opportunity to work independently, to also do some of that work with their neighbor. Within the framework of UDL and addressing learner variability, it's really about empowering students to be expert learners, or giving the space for students to be expert learners. And that means that when they want to collaborate, they have the opportunity to collaborate. They also have the opportunity to work independently. We want them to practice that within the space, but then also have the freedom to be able to decide when it's best for them.